Good evening, everyone. This is the Ayer Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Is there, well, let's do
Two copies.
commissioners in attendance this evening. Is Jeremiah as member, George Bacon, member, Jessica Gino, member clerk, Mark Phillips, vice chair, and myself, John Schmallenberger as chair, Heather Hampson as our conservation agent. Confirmation of agenda?
There's no changes.
No changes. Motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approval of the meeting minutes for December 14th, 2023. Anyone have any changes that they noticed?
Not that I see.
Nicely done.
Thank you, Jim.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes for December 14th, 2023 as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Then we will do the approval of the meeting minutes for January 11th, 2024. I found one. Anyone else?
You did.
What did you find?
Page 3. That second bullet, where it talks about Concom members, raised the question of whether the amount of work involved, blah, blah, blah. At the end of that sentence, it says, should be handled under a notice of intent rather than an NOI.
That would be correct. Good one.
Kind of picky uni, but anything else?
Nope.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 11th, 2024 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. This is the time in our meeting for public input. If there's anyone in attendance who would like to make a comment, has a question, now's your time. Hearing none, then we will move on. Our first item this evening is the continuing request for determination of applicability, McCarthy Engineering, 42 Park Street, the proposed redevelopment with parking area and stormwater system. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are y'all doing?
Good. How about you?
Good, thanks.
Just for the record, Justin LeClaire, McCarty Engineering.
Thank you.
Ali Goldenak, purchaser, 42 Park Street.
Thank you.
So, last time we were in front of you, we wanted to do a site walk. We met on a gorgeous rainy day.
Wasn't too bad.
Wasn't bad.
No
but-
mosquitoes.
Exactly. So, we had the site walk. At that time, the commission wanted to take some time, come back to this meeting to discuss and just figure out how we want to proceed forward. So, with that, any comments, questions, any additional information that you guys require?
Is there any questions?
Just
from
for,
commissioners?
on the record, we'd ask for the total impervious, new impervious surface. You mentioned that on the site walk, but that should go into the minutes.
So existing impervious was about 0.12 acres. The proposed impervious is about 0.26. So it was about twice as much proposed.
Okay.
And the majority of that came from the parking field as well as the 2,000 square foot addition.
Yep. What were your thoughts on that, George, as far as an NOI versus an RDA? It's a lot of fill, right?
A lot of fill, yeah. Probably would like to see more detail on how it's going to be controlled. So I think an NOI might be more appropriate.
Okay.
On that front, I did contact the state, the circuit rider on that, on how we would do that. She said we can, that we would issue a negative and positive determination. I'm just reading through there. So one of the negative determination 4 says the work described in the request is not within the area subject to the act, which is not. So that would be a negative on that end. But then a positive that it is within buffer zone under our bylaw. So you do both, just the state will not comment on it.
Okay, that's not confusing at all.
So an NOI gets issued, like, and gets applied for and sent to the state, but they won't comment or do anything as far as that goes on it. So it still ends up being all on us.
Do we still even have to send it to them?
Do you mind if I
Yeah.
comment? So, Mary Ann, our wetland consultant that was there, she was former DEP as well, so she said typically what would happen is we would email it to this case. You guys are central? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'd email it to the central region office, and two things would happen. They would either flat out ignore it and not provide a response back, or they would send an email back saying this is not jurisdictional under WPA.
Yep.
At this time, we defer to local commission.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
they won't comment.
Okay, so it has to be sent, no matter what, but, okay, that's what I was curious about.
But there won't be an official DEP number that comes with that.
Yep, understood. Okay.
So if there's no official DEP number, then, does it get recorded at the registry?
Well, that's the thing. So it would, in my opinion, it would still get recorded because we're
Okay.
still issuing an order of conditions and that's what's required. So that would be, I guess, the only main difference between the determination and the NOI is that the order will be put against the property and the RDA and the DOA does not.
Okay.
In my opinion, that seems to be the only difference on this in the grand scheme of things. In this little more detail of plans, I guess. Which, I mean, we could still require under the determination, but I think the only main difference on that aspect, because the state's not commenting, is the recording of it.
Okay. Jen, you have any comments?
I'm kind of lenient if we can get a little bit more detail and stay on the RDA and it saves the applicant a little bit of money, then I'd rather do that. But if we need the NOI to get the detail, like on the bill and all of that, then all that to say, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Jess?
I'm sort of leaning in the direction of George, just for setting precedents.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We try to be consistent with
Yep.
amount of fill and stuff.
Yep.
What did you think, Mark?
I like what you said, but I don't agree. So, yeah, I'm gonna side on the NOI side, unfortunately.
Just for the sake of having a permit to issue at the end of the process. Like, I know, again, with the order condition, it's not
Yeah.
a real, I don't want to say not real, but it's not official. There's no number officially with it, but
Yes.
to have some piece of paperwork at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I'm leaning towards a notice of intent as well. So we just need to vote on the RDA and
And it'd be voted in the way that. they
Yeah,
had
so
voted, right?
it'd be voted on as an actual positive and negative determination. So it's a positive determination. I gotta find this.
Under
Page here.
bylaw.
The work described in the reference plans and documents is within the buffer zone and will alter the area subject protected under the act. Actually, no, not that one. There is one. Where is it? No, it says the act, but I know there's one. I read one. Oh, yes, number 5. The area and the work described in the reference plans, documents, and review by Ayer is pursuant to the wetlands bylaw. And then you would do a -4 determination because it doesn't fall under the act, it's just our bylaw. So it's a positive and a negative. Again, these are things we learn and now I know for future reference.
And you could have an order done for our next meeting.
Well, Would it still have to go through the whole filing process with the public hearing notice and the notifications?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know there is a question on the purchase and sale as far as permits go. I don't know if this would hold that up, if something that the commission could issue stating that they're fine with the project, it's just a legality. If we could do that, because I don't want to, we obviously don't want to
Yeah.
hold anything up, but if we issued a letter stating, our process, that technically it's just on a formality side.
I think that would help.
And that would help on that end,
Yes.
so in order to keep the sale of the property and the construction and everything going, because the house itself is outside the buffer, they could do all that work.
Right.
It's just behind that.
Yeah, it's
falls
just
under.
really a section of the addition.
Yeah.
And then obviously the parking field.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I
So
think,
I don't want to hold her up
Right.
because of obviously our newspaper deadlines and all that.
Yes.
If we something as simple as issuing a letter would help on your end, we could definitely do that, if the
Okay.
commission's fine with
Thank
that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be good. Nice, good idea.
Any other discussion, just to make it even more confusing? No? Motion to issue a positive determination of 42 Park Street
Positive and negative.
at the same time?
Yes.
A positive and negative determination?
Well, you got
Mr. Chairman, I say,
Please.
yeah, I would say issue a positive determination for
The bylaw.
the local,
Yes.
the Town of Ayer local bylaw and
Negative determination against the
for the
Wetland Protection
WPA.
Act.
Yeah,
Positive determination,
Number
40
5.
42 Park Street, under the Air Wetlands bylaw,
Yep.
and a negative determination for 42 Park Street under the Wetland Protection Act.
No.
No.
Yep, under the bylaw.
Under the bylaw.
Oh, sorry, it's number
No.
6.
Where did the bylaw? Bylaw was the positive.
He was right.
Positive is number 6.
I was right?
Yeah, okay.
Negative is number 4. There we go.
Which is what positive is?
It's part of number 6. I apologize, it's number 6.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
You got it all?
So, you will come to us with an NOI?
yeah, and I'll coordinate with Heather, just what is needed formally,
Okay.
filing fee would be
Yeah,
the
that I
big
gotta,
one.
I gotta figure that
Yep.
out, but.
But we'll be back in front of you with a notice of intent.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for coming by.
I'm glad we got that figured out.
Have a good day. Experience.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again. All right. Our next item this evening is the request for determination of applicability of 2 Shelley Lane. Sean, am I saying that right? Sean and Don? Ives. Removing existing deck replaced with a new sunroom with deck within the 100-foot buffer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Kevin Keeler. I'm the chief designer for Brady Built Sunrooms, representing Sean and Dawn Ives. Dawn's right here with me tonight. So they have a single-family dwelling with a 12-foot by 13.8 deck on the rear of the structure. When they bought the property, one of the attractions was the deck overlooking the water, and I thought that was wonderful until they realized that the wind and the bugs and the weather makes it not as usable as they thought, and also the deck is old and needs to be replaced, so they've decided to replace it with a sunroom. So our proposal is to remove the existing deck and replace it with a sunroom exactly the same size, 13.8 by 12 foot, and build a new 42-inch by 7-foot platform and deck with stairs going down to the ground on the side of the room. When we designed the room, we designed it with the stairs located on the right-hand side, which is the furthest away from the water, which you see on the plot plan and the engineering plan. The new sunroom will be put on new footings, but in ecologically sensitive areas like this, we use helix screws, because the helix screws only disturb 10 cups of soil per hole. So that's what we're proposing. And when we designed the room itself, we designed it with a gutter system on it to catch all the runoff. And the gutter system is going to be tied into the underground piping for the for the house, so all the gutters and downspouts go into an underground water recharge system. We are assuming that that water recharge system is dry wells. There's no issue with the house when it pours rain. There's no runoff. There's no sign of water or anything along those lines. So we're going to use the same system to put the gutter into. It's only a 12 by 13.8 room, so there'll be a limited amount of runoff. The sunroom is roughly around 108 feet from the water's edge, and there's over 70 feet of well-established lawn between the wetland area and the location of the proposed sunrooms. They chose Brady Built because we build most of our rooms on site. I mean, well, we don't. We build most of our rooms in our factory, so there's no actual heavy construction on site. They're delivered and installed in one piece, so there's very minimal work done on the site. There will be no trucks, no heavy equipment, anything along those lines. The crane will be located on the opposite side of the house and will go over top of the roof of the house and set it in place, so it won't be anywhere near the wetlands. Because of the size of the project, we feel it's a very small project, low impact. We feel it meets requirements for an RDA for a small size project, and we respectfully request that the Conservation Commission allow us to move forward with the project.
I'm a little curious, as you're 108 feet from the pond. I mean, why is that even in our jurisdiction?
It's approximately 108 feet.
Approximately.
So when you look at like GIS and stuff, I always say give her 10 feet, because you never know
Okay.
if it's 100%. So it's easier just to file and be safe than
Okay.
to not and have it be
We want-
really 99 feet.
We wanted error on the side of caution.
Gotcha.
So I know, yeah, it looks like it doesn't need to, but again, we're not 100% sure of that actual measurement without going through and doing an actual new survey. So it's just easier to.
Ooh,
Come
an
through
engineering
file.
company to come in and do an official wetland delineation for $1,000.
For $1,000, yeah, more than the sunroom probably would cost
Exactly.
just to do this. So.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Or 100-foot tape measure.
And then
Well, that's what we used.
And then with it being so close too, right? And if we were off, and then you get the phone calls going, well,
Yeah.
no, it's a really close. It's just this
I
is
get it.
much cleaner and easier.
Yep, makes sense. Yep. Any questions?
I'd be okay with it if it was 92 feet out. But it's close, like it's minimal impact.
Yeah.
I think this is a great project.
Jess?
I'm fine with it. I did see an article today that one of the most dangerous animals in the world is coming back in force to Massachusetts.
All the
Mosquitoes.
I was gonna say the,
So I fully appreciate the intent here.
Absolutely.
George?
I'm good.
Mark?
Good. Crane?
Yeah, it's small size crane. It's not a huge one. It unpacks and it will set up in the driveway. And then the room, it's not that heavy. We'll lift it right over the roof of the house and lower it right in place.
Okay, so it'll pull right in here,
Yeah, in the driveway. Yep. Yep, right there.
and then.
Go right over the top of the roof of the house.
Okay. Yeah, no, I have no issues.
Can you let us know when you're doing that so we can watch?
I'm sure they're gonna have invitations and hot dogs too. For sale.
Any other discussion? Heather, you have any comments?
no, I don't have any comments.
No, good to go.
I would love a house with a sunroom.
Yeah, honestly. Well, I tell you, you gave us a lot of information.
I wanted to be thorough.
You were. Yeah. Okay, is there a motion to issue a negative determination at number 2 Shelley Lane?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Really
too.
appreciate it.
Have a great night.
Have a good evening now.
Oh.
Thanks for all your help, Heather.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, what else we got?
I have learned if with the excess paper, if I shred it, it's really great for wood stove starting paper.
Oh.
So if you want to get rid of yours,
I'll bring you over mine.
okay.
House for sale, and everyone's got a sunroom.
Yeah, you can have mine.
Yeah, I need a sunroom for my plants. I will just make it a joke.
So, what else we got going here? Next item this evening is a request for determination of applicability, number 75 Sandy Pond Road, Cannon Gate Condo Association, minor cleanup of sediment within a stormwater basin which has become a wetlands, from what I understand. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. Bring up a chair if you need an extra chair.
Hi, I'm John Sullivan.
Hello.
He lives at number 43, and I'm Jamie Grantham. I work for North Point Management. We're the management company of the condos.
Okay.
I've managed them for about 2 years, and for about the 2 years that I've been managing them, the trustees have shown me the pond, the significant sediment buildup that has accumulated in the base of the pond. It is a wetland area, and has expressed interest in trying to have the pond cleaned out, a lot of that sediment removed, and it to be more healthy again, because the water pretty much only comes up about third or maybe halfway up the slope now, and it just is not a very healthy situation. We don't think it's right there at the corner of Sandy Pond Road and Snake Hill Road. And we were just presenting this to the town of Ayer to see if there was anything that the town might be able to do to assist the condominium association with making it a little bit more healthy, cleaning it out. Period.
When it was constructed, the retention pond or the stormwater pond, was there a maintenance plan for that?
That would have happened in 1972.
Oh, yeah.
I know as a kid, I used to drive by, and there used to be a fountain that used to shoot up water, and people would ice skate on it all the time. And now it's got branches and trash and, McDonald's cups in it, and it's got a major runoff off of Snake Hill Road that is just washing out the land into the pond, and it's just constantly filling up with sediment. And my dog walker noticed this spring that rats have moved in. She called them water rats. I'd walk my dog at 5:30 in the morning, and something would jump into the water, and I'm like, oh, we might have muskrats. And she's like, no, those are rats. I'm like, oh, okay. That's nice to know.
I didn't know that.
But it is, since it's filled up so much, when we have had this driving rain, it's just filling up, and it's going across onto the lawn, and it's expanding and expanding. And
I feel like if some of that, muck and the sediment was taken out, then that wouldn't happen.
And it has no connection to any of the wetlands that run on if you drive up Snake Hill on the right-hand side, it has no connection to Sandy Pond. It's its own little, lack of a better term, island that was obviously dug there to collect the water that runs off of the parking areas of Sandy Pond Road. Off of our complex, but it's also taking a lot of water from Sandy Pond Road, an extreme amount of water off of Snake Hill Road. You can drive by and just see the dirt that's been washed out.
When it's rain hardening.
Yeah. And on a side note, the culvert up on Snake Hill Road, which would be halfway between the entrance to the backside of our complex and Sandy Pond Road, just an FYI, that is also washing out between the culvert and the hot top. You might want to get somebody out there to look at it before the hot top starts breaking up.
Where was that?
It's the culvert on Snake Hill Road. Okay. It's about halfway between Sandy Pond Road and the railroad tracks. I guess that would be better.
I'll mention that tomorrow.
It connects the wetlands from the railroad tracks over behind, what I think when I was a kid was a little convenience store that's now a duplex or something, and then runs over into Flanagan's.
So I'm a little unclear on, are you asking us for permission to do the work, or are you asking the town to do the work?
Both.
I mean, we don't, we're trying to figure out what we can and cannot do, and then where to move from there. Because there is a significant amount of erosion from the runoff of Snake Hill Road. I mean, it's significant. And you can see it too off of Sandy Pond Road, where you can just see where the water travels. It's just, it's scarring the earth and it's just filling it in. So it would be helpful if it's a possibility. But right now, it's more, we're looking into getting it back to what it was and moving forward from there.
What is the proposed method for cleaning it out?
I mean, none of us are in that business, taking the necessary machine. I don't know personally how to clean sediment out of a pond. So we didn't, I'm guessing hiring a company to do it would be, the best way that I could answer that question, as opposed to the actual step-by-step plan of it.
Is this something that could be run by DPW to see if, I mean,
Well, the DPW wouldn't do that because it's private property.
Yeah.
oh, it's private property.
Yeah. I know how catch basins are done. I do not know how detention basins are done. I do know typically they're not grass. I know how the standards are now. They're typically, I don't know how wet basins are. I know how dry basins are. I haven't read that part of the stormwater handbook that thoroughly, but that would be now standards, right? 2008 standards. It wouldn't be 1972 standards. So I have no idea what the plan was.
Yeah.
Because typically what happens is, you put the rock in there, you rake it over. The rock's there to catch sediment so it doesn't get to the bottom and clog it, so it keeps infiltrating in. And I don't know what it is for wet basins. It basically sits there until it eventually infiltrates in or evaporates. That's how wet basins work. So
Because there's nowhere for it to go.
because there's nowhere to go. So obviously, in my opinion, this is
just
probably a
collects
wet
and then-
basin, so it would just sit there. But if it's been built up from whatever, from added stormwater, and now it's become technically a wetland, I don't know what to do. At some point, yeah, it probably some work needs to be done on it to make it better. But what that is, I have no idea.
Yep.
And again, I guess I'll go back to, I mean, if it was built as part of the Canongate property, it's technically not a wetland. Right?
There was a change in the act that states stormwater up to before a certain point, and then after a certain point became a wetland.
But it's still private property.
Yeah, this one is private property, so it's not a stormwater basin that the town would maintain.
Right.
So isn't it the category of isolated wetland?
Yes.
We could consider it as, I don't have a.
Yeah, it's an isolated wetland, yeah.
Yeah, it's not connected to any system,
No.
so.
You were saying you didn't have a problem?
I don't have a problem with it being cleaned
Getting it
out.
cleaned.
Because the bigger goal is having a functioning basin that filters and.
Yeah. I mean, typically basins like this, when they said they have the fountain in there, that's to help keep duckweed and stuff down and the water irrigating, so
Yeah.
you don't get the stagnant water with
Mosquitoes
mosquitoes and
from
stuff. It
breeding.
helps with stuff like that. And I've seen commissions approve that in other towns for a basin similar to that. But as far as cleaning it,
Would it need to be approved if they wanted to, let's say, do that again?
You would just be something that would add it onto here. So if it's something they want to put an air pump on with the fountain, it would just be a determination to do that, because those typically have, depending on how you're setting it up. If it sits on the ground or whatever to pump the water out, and that's where the jurisdiction falls, is on the ground under the water.
Okay.
And I'm sitting on the outside, but can I just ask a quick question? Because I don't remember Canongate on the board too as well.
Could you come up and state your name, please?
Would we be concerned?
State your name, Suzanne.
I'm sorry, I'm Suzanne Peterson.
Good evening.
Good evening, I'm sorry. Would we be concerned about potential invasive plant species or anything that might be in the pond?
That's always a concern, and that's one of the commission's, as far as conservation's big problem, is combating invasive species. So that's always something we look at when we permit new projects. If we do find invasives on there, I've been trying to make it conditions to be like, hey, can we clean that? That would be great. So I don't know if there's anything. I mean, I drive by that all the time. I don't know if I've seen anything shooting out of it, like
No.
growing up. I don't know.
No, it's just that green algae, the
Little balls.
Yeah,
that's
just-
duckweed.
yeah.
So if you put a pump on there,
Yeah.
like a fountain, that would help with that because it's a stagnant
Right.
water. So if you had that moving, it would keep the water flowing and it would keep the duckweed from growing. That's the only one that I know how to help.
Well, it's way too small for anyone to have put a boat in it. It would, you'd
Yeah.
have to get an invasive plant from a duck's
Yeah, for
leg or
bird,
something,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, but the little that algae, if you had like a fountain going on it to just help move the water, that would help with any sort of algae or anything growing in on it because it keeps water moving.
And there's a rumor
Stagnant
there's
water.
a bicycle in there too, and I know that there's a street sign in there. and a floating 4x4.
We got all
Now
our
it's an
signs.
island.
We got all our signs back.
Oh, that's
You can have it. I'll give you the shovel to get it.
yeah, great. Yeah, it's just like I said, I guess just clean it out, scrape it out, whatever. If you put in the pump, like you said, it sounds like they were, they had the pump at one time. You said.
Oh yeah.
And probably just broke one day, and everybody like, don't worry about it. Just
And now
plug it
this
out.
is what.
And then this is what happens after years of neglect on it, not having, just because having that, just keeping the water
And the people
moving.
who are in charge now want to start to take care of
But
it
again,
more
yeah.
and keep taking care of it, I believe.
Yeah,
is my
and I think,
impression.
again, whatever you folks do, in time with the sidewalks being put in and things like that, that's gonna help, so you hopefully won't get the runoff like you were.
Right.
Sandy pond anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, should help improve it a little bit.
It's amazing how much water, because like I said, I have 2 dogs, I walk them all the time. It's amazing the amount of water that comes down Snake Hill off of the intersection. It's amazing.
Especially the railroad tracks, I'm sure don't help.
Well, that's what's eating out the culvert, where it's gotten rid of all the dirt from the end of the tube of the culvert right to the pavement, which you guys need to go look at that, because
Yeah.
you're gonna start breaking.
Yeah, and say,
Yeah.
give us notes to the call the DPW, but I'll let them know tomorrow to go take a look at that.
Yeah.
I've noticed in the past that there has been, I'm assuming it's young people on motorcycles riding around that pond and kind of creating,
Oh, that was years ago.
dirt areas.
You're talking about the abutter.
I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, his kids are older now, and they have a couple of dogs, and they've put up a makeshift fence. So there's literally, you could barely maybe walk around the whole pond because of the incline from their fence to where the water, and
Okay.
depending on how bad it rains, I mean, that just completely disappears. But yeah, no, I've heard about problems with the use doing stuff, but I've lived there now since January of 2021, and I've only heard literally one dirt bike, and I'm up against the railroad tracks.
Yeah. It's just a concern because
Yeah.
it
No, that kid, I
creates
think, is in
dirt
his
that's gonna
20s
wash
now.
into the pond.
He's,
Yeah.
yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, and I don't see a dirt bike on their property. I see 2 Sea-Doos and a Corvette, so they're not running those.
Because I think a while ago, there was a safety concern about how to keep people off the pond. Because even in the winter, it doesn't matter how shallow it is or whatever, it's always a safety
It's a
concern.
liability, big
Liability.
time.
And there's really no way to keep people off, but
Thoughts, George?
Yeah, I think it should be cleaned up. I don't have an issue with it. I don't know if we want to put any conditions on it.
Such as?
Just proper disposal of whatever you take out. Something like that.
Anything of value comes to the commission and
We find any
Indian
Buried
heads or
treasure.
something.
wedding rings.
Yeah,
Yeah, really.
vintage McDonald's cups and toys from Happy Meals.
so I'm assuming the town's not going to get involved with this at all. So this is going to rest on your shoulders, and but I don't think we have a problem with it. So is there any other discussion before we vote?
Would it help it overall long-term condition to line it with stone once it's cleaned out, or if you wanted to? Couldn't make you.
I mean, it couldn't hurt, but then again, how are we doing that? We saying that we're taking what shows up as a wetland and pumping it out
Yeah.
to clean it, so then we could then put stone on it, and then what, hope it fills back up again? Like, I feel like that's counterproductive.
Yeah.
I think if anything to help with some of the area, maybe additional, I don't know, plantings around the side to help soak up some of the water
Okay.
that's coming out, or stabilizing some of the slope, whether we're doing some vegetation along it
Right.
too. That might help if it's not so visible. People aren't kind of go into it if they have to go through some shrubbery to get to.
No, I
That would
got
be,
it, yeah.
and it would help soak up some of the extra water that might be coming in off of Snake Hill Road if that's an issue, or some erosion.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of as far as something to benefit it, do any additional plantings around it.
And
might
then
be
the
helpful.
strong suggestion of the pump with the fountain.
Yeah, that would help. I think that would help with some of the algae problems
Yeah.
inside.
Okay.
And it looks pretty, even a little fountain going.
Because it certainly doesn't now.
Then the water serves some sort of beautification purpose. It has a little fountain on it.
You can like laser light shows.
Well, there's one place in my mother's trail up in New Hampshire. They have, it's a bigger pond, has a fountain. They have inflatable like pool floats, the swans and stuff. They
And they wouldn't make it 24 hours. Around 1:30 in the morning, I think they will disappear.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion to issue a negative determination on 75 Sandy Pond Road, Cannon Gate Condo Association minor cleanup, settlement within the stormwater basin with the conditions of proper disposal of whatever is
Oh,
removed?
sorry. I need the application.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Really appreciate the
Thank
time
you.
this afternoon, tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Heather.
You have,
I have a quick question, because
Yeah.
I'm an accountant, so when
Yeah.
you kept saying NOI, it means something very different to me. So I was just wondering what NOI means.
notice of intent.
Notice of intent,
Yeah.
okay. I was going net operating income.
So every,
There is a 10, there's a 10,
I've been doing budgets too long.
there's a 10-day waiting period.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're not going to do this soon.
No, I mean, this would be spring.
Yeah, the state needs to review this and make a judgment, and if we hear back, then
Okay.
there might be something.
Who should we contact to follow up with?
Heather, probably.
You? Okay.
Yeah, she's the one who
Yep.
I've been emailing.
yep. Yeah.
So if I got some sort of, let's say hypothetically, a quote, a proposal, I would send that to you.
Yeah, just so I can have an idea of who's doing the work and what
Yeah,
it looks in
for
detail.
sure.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Okay.
That was gonna be one of the conditions I was gonna put in
Okay.
there.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Have a nice night.
Thanks. Good night. Bye-bye. Oops. Must.
See, it was so obvious, but I just.
Just one of those things where like, we all didn't realize it was a wetland, and then like, oh, I knew they were coming, because it's like, it needs to be, something needs to be done with it.
Yep.
I don't know, I like the stagnant green.
It's a very nice green.
It glows in the dark. Yeah,
Well, it's 40 years old, right? So, I mean, it's
72, 82, 92.
72?
72 is
Oh,
50.
50.
52
50.
years
So
old.
50, yeah, so it's been there a while.
Yeah, it's the same. It ends up being, I think it was right around the 70 or 80 mark that if it was prior to that, it ended up becoming jurisdictional. It's one of those weird things. It's like, how does stormwater become but yeah, whatever. I don't
does,
ask
right?
questions. I don't
So,
ask questions.
that's the end of business. Conservation Office updates?
So, office is fairly quiet, obviously, this time of year. There's no new applications coming for the next meeting. We do have at the next meeting, a presentation by the working group that I've been sitting on, the Stormwater Utility Fund. So they'll be coming to describe, where we're at in that process, to the commission, for any questions. And that we'll be doing all the boards, planning, Board of Health, FinCom, Board of Selectmen, and us. CPC, yeah. And I, as the representative for, I would say, conservation, and one of the few members that sit on that committee, working group, that are in town hall, I volunteered to go to all the meetings, that way if anybody has any questions in regards to it, I'm the friendly face in the town hall that people can ask questions to. So that will be the next meeting. Also, I sit on they're working on the hazard mitigation plan for the year. We had that survey that was done several months ago.
Yep.
Just need a final push people to do more. I guess they haven't even gotten 50 responses yet to that survey. So if anybody hasn't filled it out, if they could, that would be great. There's flyers for it in the hallway, so you get the QR code.
Mailed to us?
No.
You probably did.
No, it was on the town's website.
Oh, yeah.
So it was not mailed, but there are flyers hanging out in the hallway here at Town Hall with the QR code that you can to fill it out.
Disaster.
It's a hazard mitigation plan.
Oh.
And this would be more or less when, a dam breaks or we have flooding issues, what the town sits as far as a plan goes. It helps that once we have a plan, it's one of these things we have to create like an open space plan in order to create additional funding and grant opportunities to have that plan.
I'll meet you at the hospital.
Unless there's a train going by and you
Go to
can't
Hydras. Well, I'll get there.
Other than that, like I said, yesterday, because of the work that I've been doing with the stormwater, there was a minor spill at Nasoya, so I had to go over to them to check to see if anything got into the storm drains, and which it had not. But while I was there, I noticed that the spill, some of the cleanup was within the commission's buffer. So I contacted their representative from Nasoya that contacts the DPW when there's spills, just to notify them in the future if they have one like that again, to make sure they notify our office. It was in the right before it was in the disturbed area in the pavement in the driveway where all the knotweed is. So it's because we have a small section of that property is in the buffer, so it was a small amount, but it was all cleaned up and nothing had gotten into the storm drains. So
Just oil of
it was
some kind?
foam.
Foam.
Like fire foam?
No, because this is tofu, so they have what's called bio towers, which could contain biofoam, and that's what spilled. And it literally looked like, you get like ocean foam. It literally looked like that because there was some of it in between some of the trailers that they just had left, but it just looks like whitish foam.
From tofu?
From tofu.
Coffee.
I'm assuming from, washing it or whatever. But yeah, they have 2 towers in the back of the building that hold it. So I had a leak over there. So I had to go and look at that. And that was fun walking around in the drizzle.
What do they do with it? What eventually happens if they're storing the foam? Does it just eventually dissipate?
I'm assuming that those towers, I assume they get cleaned out and that's how they had a spill. Maybe the cap, whatever. I don't know. I'm assuming they get cleaned out and hauled away. I have no idea. They are coming back. We issued them an RDA last summer for the work they're doing. They're actually coming back and modifying that plan. Nothing in our jurisdiction has changed, but we're meeting with them next week to discuss the changes to their plan.
And can they maybe give us more details on the foam spill?
Yes, I'm going to ask them more questions about that, and as far as regards to who do we contact for detailing and how do they do those, because I think the same thing when we had the Catania spill, it was one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, we probably should tell them. Yeah, probably should. Yeah. Figuring the logistics of how we contact everyone with these. So this one, at least I got notified that day, so that was fine. So the DPW did let me know, so that was good.
Anything else? That is it, huh?
Did you get the RFQ out?
I sent it to everyone to review. I didn't hear anything back. So
I read it.
Since I did not, I will send it.
I have.
No, because I haven't sent it out because I hadn't heard any back yet.
Oh yeah, I did. Well, I didn't look at it till this afternoon.
Oh, that's okay.
This afternoon, but
It's not. It's. I mean, yeah. I'm sending it.
It's just mainly dates. But
yeah, I'm assuming so.
And just one other thing would be the scope of work for Flanagan Pond.
Yes.
Which might incorporate the language of, or maybe split it between quote for the whole pond treatment that they recommended.
Yep.
Versus enhanced spot treatments. See if they had 2 different numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will adjust that and I'll get it out tomorrow. As far as budget, I did increase the budget for this coming fiscal year by, I think I said like $2,500, and that's to incorporate whatever we would need to, looking at for conservation restrictions for baselines and whatever projects we might need to do for beaver activity. With no comment, no question, okay.
Increase their, okay,
So-
okay. Increase the budget 2,500.
Yeah, just for services, so we can look at, for baseline documents for some of our conservation restrictions to get those baseline reports done. And for any additional, beaver activity, to get some of those, troublesome spots, worked out. They are a private company that owns the solar field at Air Solar One. Is having issues with beaver activity accessing that, so they're actually hired Beaver Solutions to fix that themselves.
Is that the one at Rosewood?
Yeah, Rosewood Ave.
Okay.
So that was one of the DPW&R's like flagged areas. It's actually going to get resolved, not by us. So that was a happy surprise.
Yeah.
So they'll be coming before us at some point for that work.
Okay. Good enough. Any other updates from commissioners?
MACC conference is March 2nd.
I tried clicking on the stuff in the email for the fundamentals, whatever it was called, like, I don't know, they called it something weird.
Yeah.
Fast pace or something, right?
Yeah.
It didn't work. I don't know, were you able to see it, or did you?
I already done my fundamental, so I don't even check on those. I did those back in 2009.
All right.
I probably should do the refresher courses, but.
Okay.
Oh, and then, sorry, I used to think of these things. I really need to write them down more often. The state is going through revisions of the Wetlands Protection Act. It's in comment period now. They're doing several public hearings. I think the next there's 2 of them on the 31st, one in the afternoon and one in the evening. If you go to the state's website, you can see when those public hearings are, if any of you have any interest. So the majority of the changes are for climate resiliency. They're doing changes to the Wetland Protection Act, the water control, and Chapter 91. So if any of you have any interest in hearing
Chapter
about that or
91.
reviewing that.
Is that docks?
Yeah, that's Chapter 91 is the waterways and dock licenses.
Yeah, navigable waterways.
Yeah. So, do you ever see Robert
Oh, I
these
can
days?
navigate on that.
I
Ridiculous.
do, but no, just in passing.
Because the whole Chapter 91 doc thing, he had passed on to town council and crickets.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was on the whole CR. I'm assuming he never heard anything from North County.
No,
so-
I don't think he did. And like I said, I researched and I got a hold of Oxbow, Scott from Oxbow, to find out how much it would cost. Just because we do have Curly Circle, the restrictions in place, we just don't have a baseline document, and because it's all been approved, it now falls on us to get the baseline done to get an idea of what that would cost. I think it gave me an cost of around $1,100 to do the baseline. That's something like, okay, well, if they did 2 of those next year, if we do one this budget and one next budget, depending on which money we have left over, that's where I'm like, we're gonna add a little bit to the existing budget so we can pay for some of those baselines to get done.
Who? What was the name?
I think Scott Smyers from Oxbow Associates.
From Oxford. Okay, sorry.
He's the one that has been out and done them, so I'm like, oh, I know and I knew I had his email, so that's why I just asked him for an idea of what it would cost. We don't have to use that company, I just wanted a baseline of what it would cost so I could throw something in the budget, so I have an idea in my head.
Okay.
If we would do like 1 or 2 each budget season, what do I need to figure out?
Gotcha.
Same thing with, I looked at some of the beaver items we did. We just redid the one over on the Run Gun Club, that beaver deceiver, that pipe had failed, so I looked at that one and go, okay, that cost around $800 to $1,000. Okay, if we need to do more deceivers like that, 1 or 2 of them would be another $2,000. Okay, so that's how I figured out the budget for this coming year, to figure out how we can budget 1 or 2 of these things every year just to make some sort of progress.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Raising our budget too much.
We have to do the annual report.
Yeah, annual report to do the end of February, so I will have a draft for the next meeting. Because we don't really have much on there. And my mother and sister.
Jen, you have anything?
I don't.
Jess?
Nope.
Mark?
Nope.
George?
Nope.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Our next meeting is February 8th.